got a great show for you guys today. We're going to be talking about people getting mad at Brian Michael Bendis over using the word artistic. We're going to be covering Comicsgate stuff, people getting mad at Jeff Lemire, and some more. So, got a great show today. Let's get into it right now. This week in comics, we got some interesting stuff that happened. The first thing I want to talk about is the whole Bendis situation. If you're not caught up, people got mad at Bendis because he had a bad guy, a villain in the book, use autistic in a bad way towards someone he was talking to. He called them an autistic blank, and then he proceeded to just get beat up by the Guardian. Guardian showed up, and he got beat up by that guy, but people were very upset. It started with this, well, at least the first time I saw it was this tweet from Russ Berlin game. I don't know who this guy is. Apparently he writes for comicbook.com. You know, one of those sites that no one likes, the sites where you click on it to read an article and it's extremely clickbait and has nothing to do with the title, and then you get 50,000 ads that pop up and your computer starts running really slow and you're like, do I have a virus because I clicked on some clickbait article? Yeah, he writes for one of those sites. But anyways, he said, as a parent of a child with autism, I'm disgusted that a comic I was reading and enjoying as a part of my weekly assignments at work uses autistic as a derogatory term meant to insult or to mean someone's intelligence. I'm surprised this made it the line made it into the book. He was very upset about that. See, I would get this criticism if, like, he had Superman say this. If Bendis had Superman say this, then I would understand. I'd be like, yeah, that doesn't make sense. But Superman didn't say it. Bendis had a bad guy say it. Mean people say mean things. I'm sorry that you don't know that's how the world works, but mean people say mean things. And you had a lot of other people getting mad about it. If you go to, it's just kind of cancer. If you go to the replies to this, it's all just a bunch of people being very upset. There are some rational people, like there's another guy in a different thread. He just tweeted at Bendis himself saying, Brian Michael Bendis has done more for people with autism than y'all can know. His use of the language to show how trash speak to one another is dead on. I know Bendis, he's more than aware of my autistic sons. He's done nothing wrong here. Stop being offended for me because I'm not. And yeah, I thought that was a good explanation. I thought that's how a level-headed person would deal with this. But no, this guy was very upset. And Brian Michael Bendis responded. He says, yeah, it is an insult. I can't stand it. It has been said directly to me. I put it in my work to illustrate its ugliness from an ugly character who got his immediate comeuppance. I do it in my work all the time, Russ. I'm sorry it hurt you. Next time, reach out. You know me. So I thought that was a pretty good response. But then more people, like someone who has their pronouns in their bio, went and got on a huge thread to Brian Michael Bendis and just like went off on him, was talking about how it's not right and it doesn't matter. You don't have to show someone's bad by having them use that word. They shouldn't use that word. Bad guys should have limits on speech too, and all this other stuff. And it was a very stupid thread. But what do you expect from someone that has their pronouns in their bio? But anyways, he got very upset, and through that, Brian Michael Bendis eventually caved in and said, I completely hear you. I called my editor and told them to make sure it's not in any other printings. It won't be in the trade. Language is tough. When trying to be real, you can be real hurtful. You know, it wasn't my intention. You helped me see a way to fix it. Thank you. Why? Language can be tough. When trying to be real, you can be real hurtful. Like that. Yeah, bad guys need to go to sensitivity training now. They got to have all these HR meetings. The bad guys, they're not allowed to say things. They need to, you know, next time when Joker's murdering some kids, he's got to think, what do I say first? I don't want to say the wrong words because I might hurt someone's feelings. That's how it's got to go. You got to make sure they don't use such bad language. It could be really harsh and hurtful. It's too tough. When being real, it's real hurtful. Like, what? This is just so stupid. Like, the sensitivity of these people is insane. Like, how are you this sensitive to a bad guy saying this? It's like in Django Unchained, if you're mad that DiCaprio's character, who is a slave owner, says the N-word. He's a slave owner. He's not going to be a good guy that's going to be PC. He's going to say very nasty things. It's the same thing here. Like, it's like you expect it from these characters. You expect it from people like this. Like, could you imagine that? Oh my gosh, it makes no sense. Bad guy says bad things, makes sense to me. But bad guy could have said something different because this bad thing specifically hurt me because I relate to it in this way. that doesn't, you don't get a pass for that. You don't get to get treated special because, oh, this thing relates to me, so that means it's very hurtful and you should not use it. No, that's not how the real world works. I'm sorry to break that to you. Stop being so sensitive about every damn thing. I just think it's so stupid that people think they are so special that they can get something taken out of a book because it hurt them. Like, oh no, this specific word hurt me. It needs to be taken out, so they throw a huge tantrum. Like, what? If you're offended, then just be offended and get over it. That's it. If you're offended, like, I understand if you don't like him using autistic, that's fine. But there's a difference between just being offended and moving on, and being offended and then being like, I am going to try to get this taken out of this book. I'm going to write an entire essay to Bendis about it. Like, there's a difference there. Like, I could understand if someone's like, I don't like that, and that's it. But then to try to get it removed from the book, what? It boggles my mind. It's very stupid. Bendis caved in just exactly like I thought he would. It's just no spine there, and it's so stupid. His first response was good, where he talked about how it wasn't an ugly word, and he had an ugly character who got his immediate comeuppance. And then after that, like, so many people kept pounding on him, he just gave in. It's stupid. But yeah, I just think if you're that offended by this word, you need to reevaluate yourself. Stop being so offended by everything. But yeah, that's pretty much it there with the whole Bendis situation. I think it's stupid because Bendis had a bad character say a bad thing. Adds up to me. But then you have very oversensitive people who are like, no, they could say bad things, but not that bad thing. That bad thing hurts me too much. No. And it's just, I think it's stupid. But anyways, let me know in the comments below what you think of that. Moving on, let's move on to our next story. We've got Wolverine's got a new costume, and it looks terrible. It looks absolutely awful. This was not a good idea. It just, it wasn't designed by Steve McNiven either. I can't remember the name of the artist that designed this, but I was like, wait, Steve McNiven's a dude on, like, Return to Wolverine stuff. This costume looks terrible, but then it turned out it wasn't designed by him. I was like, thank God. Still have faith in Steve McNiven. But by someone else, it looks absolutely terrible. He looks like he works at Benihana's or something. I don't know. I saw John Malin say something about him looking like a chef, and I agree. He does look like a chef. Like, this just looks, maybe from a different perspective it might look better, but from this perspective it looks absolutely terrible. And why do you bring Wolverine back with this? Why not bring him back with a classic costume? Just give him some yellow and blue. I love that. Instead, he works at Benihana's now. But yeah, that's there's not much to say about this other than the fact that it looks absolutely terrible. It doesn't look good. I don't know who thought this was a good idea or who greenlit it and like, yeah, that makes Wolverine look like a badass. It doesn't. He doesn't look good. He just go erase it. Keep this for like one issue and then be like, we were wrong. Just nuke it from the planet. We don't need it anymore. It is not a good idea. It's just not. There's nothing good about this costume. Like, there's no redeeming factor. Nothing looks good here. But yeah, I just want not much else to really talk about the Wolverine costume. It just looks bad. So, moving on to our next story. We've got Jeff Lemire spoke out against Comicsgate because he's so brave to speak out against Comicsgate. And all his buddies on his side were very happy about this. And we're like, yes, good job. You are just a fighter. And like, got tons of retweets and likes. But I was very sad about this because, as most of you know, I'm a huge Jeff Lemire fan. I'm a big Jeff Lemire fanboy. I love Jeff Lemire. I read a ton of his books. He's one of my favorite artists right now. He's definitely the most talented person to denounce Comicsgate, because most of the people that are anti-Comicsgate are like these hacks that no one's ever heard of, and if it weren't for Comicsgate, no one ever would have heard of them. Like Tim Doyle, like Daryl Ayo, and Kwanzaa, guys like that. People that have like no talent, no one's ever heard of. It's just because they're so loud against Comicsgate that you've heard of them. But Jeff Lemire is actually a talented guy, and so to see him do this kind of stupid. I don't know what caused him to do this. But yeah, let's read his quote. He said, Comicsgate is based on fear, intolerance, bigotry, and anger. The comics creators emerging today are too talented, too smart, and too loud to be beaten by these weak people. It's time we all started standing up for one another. And that's what he said. And then you had like Mags responding. I don't know what she said because she has me blocked, but she apparently said something, and he just said, I appreciate your work. No one appreciates Mag's work. Stop lying. She's just not good at all. But anyways, it's kind of disappointing to see Jeff Lemire do this because there was no reason to. All he did was lose customers and fans over this. Like, there are people that already said, like, oh, I'm going to drop your book now. Like, there was literally, all he did was hurt himself. He didn't gain anyone new. He gained some Twitter brownie points, but no SJW that reads this and is happy about it is going to pick up a Jeff Lemire book, guaranteed, because they don't buy comics. None of them is going to be like, oh, I'm going to buy a Jeff Lemire book now because he said this. No, all you're having is legitimate comic readers that do read your book saying, yeah, I'm not going to support you anymore because you talk down to me like I'm some idiot, like I'm some bigot. I even responded to him, asking him why he felt that way, because I've never experienced that with Comicsgate. He didn't respond because I wanted to see why he said this, because I don't know what triggered it. My assumption was that maybe he read like a quote from the Dark Roast or something, since that's kind of like infamous now among the Comicsgate community, and he's like, oh, that's all Comicsgate in, because I could see someone if you're more on the left and you like just come in, you have no clue what Comicsgate is, and then you just read a quote that says of someone that's like a primary figure in Comicsgate. Obviously, there's not really any leader of Comicsgate. There's just a bunch of different people, but one of the big figures heads is definitely DNC. He's definitely a huge part of it. And so when you have no clue what Comicsgate is, you hear all your buddies saying, oh, it's just a bunch of racists and all this other stuff, and then you read a quote that says Heather Antos is a cum bucket, I think is what he said, or something like that, then you might be like, oh, Comicsgate is the worst. I think that's all it is he's just like out of touch and he doesn't know and he doesn't feel like reading into it and doing his actual own research. He just believes what everyone says and then reads something like that and it's like, oh, this is terrible. But yeah, I don't know what caused this. This happened on the same day the whole Darwin Cook stuff happened, which I was at work when this stuff happened, so I'm a little confused as well with the Darwin Cook stuff. In case you don't know what happened with that, Darwin Cook, the late great artist, who's my favorite Jonah Hex artist of all time. No one drew Jonah Hex like him. He did so good. But anyways, someone on Twitter, I don't know who, but I believe this is how it happened again. I wasn't at home when it happened, but someone said, oh, Darwin Cook like would have supported Comicsgate, something along those lines. And Darwin Cook's widow came on Twitter and said, no, he would not. He would have hated you guys and other things among that. And then she was on Twitter like replying to people all day. And then she started going after Ethan Van Sciver. And you had a lot of people arguing against her. And it's like, if you're arguing against a widow, that you're just don't. It's not a winning situation. It's not smart. That being said, EVS handled it very well. He's very respectful and nice the way he handled it. And he did a good job. Like, if you look at the tweets, EVS handled it very well. There were a lot of people that did not, though, that were arguing against her and saying some very mean things. She was very rude with a lot of people, like, especially with EVS. She was just, for no reason, she's trying to, like, blame him for the actions of his followers, which is just stupid. Like, I hate it when someone says, oh, you follow this person or this person follows you, therefore you are responsible for their actions, and you 100% agree with every single thing they do. That is not the case ever. That is not an argument. That's just stupid. But yeah, this whole situation was kind of screwed up because no one should be talking for a dead man. No one should be like saying that this is what he would believe. If anyone has the right, it's his wife, but still I don't think anyone, because I think everyone who's ever been with someone knows that that's had a partner or anything. It's just like, yeah, we didn't agree on everything. There are certain degrees, and then if you died, you wouldn't want your partner to like say stuff about you that you would agreed with or not agreed with. Like, you shouldn't be speaking for someone that can't speak for themselves or someone that's dead. I don't think that's right. Again, if anyone has the right to, it's his wife, but still I think it's kind of not too good to be speaking for someone that's not there and act like you know every single thing that they would have thought. But yeah, I don't think it's good. Like, both sides were very in the wrong here. But yeah, it was interesting. I don't know if that was what caused the whole Jeff Lemire thing. Maybe he saw the Darwin Cook stuff and that's what caused it. I don't know. Again, I'm not sure when all this stuff happened, so he might have happened before the Darwin Cook stuff. I don't know. But yeah, that's it for today. We had some interesting topics. I want to try to maybe make this weekly, do a This Week's in Comics, which is where I just covered interesting stuff that happened this week in comics. I think it could be fun. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please let me know with a like and a comment. And also, I want to hear you guys' thoughts on all this stuff in the comments down below. What are your thoughts on the whole Bendis autism thing? People are very mad about him. Over that. And then what are your thoughts on the Wolverine costume, the whole Jeff Lemire situation with him denouncing Comicsgate and saying how bad it is, and then the whole Darwin Cook situation? I want to know your guys' thoughts in the comments down below. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.
Legends never die, we've been going every night. I've been feeling way too blessed, but with Lex I'm never stressed. They don't know just what we do, we've been out here with the crew. They don't know just how we live, think we got too much to give.